IIT Delhi and IIM Calcutta alumna with nearly 3 decades in AI and retail and CPG. She has shaped strategies for Fortune 500 companies across Europe, US, APAC, and India. She is a champion of emerging tech, including agentic AI, and a trusted voice in customer analytics, supply chain, and merchandising and digital transformation. Winner of the Frost and Sullivan Technology Innovation Leadership Award and the Women in AI Leadership Award. She is deeply committed to mentoring young women and helping them see possibility in their careers. Please help me welcome with a warm round of applause Seema Agarwal.
Of them have the largest center in India. That means of the 10 largest IT services companies, 9 of them are in India with the largest headcount. You look at GCCs, I think that's the talk of the town. I'm sure all of us have heard about 1,800 plus GCC centers. You look at the top 10 most prominent US organizations. 4 of them have the second largest base here after US. About 6 of them have the largest user base here. So you look at Google, Meta, Apple, everything is here. Traditionally, it was believed that there are not too many startups in India, and that's probably the missing link. We have also got to be the third largest nation by the number of unicorns. So looks like that's also working out well. And that's what got me thinking, Seema, why are we talking about talent gap at all? Is there really a gap?
So, I mean, I can't agree with you more, Anila. It's absolutely correct that India has a vast talent pool, right? The entire world understand that. If I just take it, even the AI roles, we have almost around 600 to 650,000 people, and this number will improve now to around almost 1.25 million by 2027, who's going to serve almost 17 billion market. So that much talent pool is there. But I completely agree. Another point, yes, there is 20 to 30% skills gaps are there. So there is a talent, but there is a skill gap, and there are reasons behind it. Let me just come to that why we do face on this talent gap in spite of having such a world class two people around there. So the two primary reasons which I can say that number one is the technology. The technology is evolving very rapidly, right? Like even if I look at the AI, 3 years back we were talking about the pre-trained models, right? People used to talk about if the model can give the forecast or something, can predict that. These are the kind of skills required. And then we moved to the reasoning model where, the model is not only able to predict, but it can also answer your questions. It can generate more content there. So we moved to the reason. Now the models can understand the reason as well. Okay? And now we're talking about the agentic AI, where people used to struggle that the biggest gap in this skill is the execution, but now the agent can execute as well. So if somebody have not updated themselves in last 2 years, then they are sitting onto the P10 models while we move to the agentic AI. Okay, so the one of the biggest gap is because of this AIs, or the technology is evolving very rapidly. So one need to update themselves. Gone are the days when you have to be expert into one, two, or few skills. Today, we need to update ourselves. We need to have a breadth of the skills, okay, and try to become the expert, whatever the new skills are required on that. So learning is not just one phase of the life which we say, okay, this is the Vidyarthi Jivan, this is the life of learning. No. Learning has to be continuous throughout the journey. That has to be the primary reason there. And second reason, that whatever your domain, whatever your tech expertise are there, that plays just the 40-60% role in your hiring or staying into organization. Okay, what matters more, or what we look as an enterprise, is your analytical skill, your problem solving skill. We look at the cognitive thinking, we look at the contextual intelligence into that. Okay, so I give you example. For example, somebody working on to demand forecasting model, right? So it's not necessary the person has to understand how to make a good model, but he or she need to understand what is the persona for whom we are making this model, how it's going to be used, what is the purpose behind that. Is the organization or the enterprise going to use this model for building the sales plan, or creating the reorder to manage the inventory? So unless this curiosities or the contextual intelligence is not there, right, they won't ask the intelligent questions. And if you don't ask the intelligence questions, you won't get the intelligent answer, or you make the right model. So this kind of skills, which is contextual intelligence, or need to do the problem solving skill, analytical skills, your collaboration, is something which I feel missing into the people there. And these are the primary reason I would say there is a talent gap there.
Thanks, Seema.
But what do you think? I mean, this is more from the enterprise side, Nilab, but I'm sure you are connecting with so many people. They're reaching out to you. What they think, what are key skill gaps people feel themselves?
So thanks, Seema. I think the way you articulated the whole thing, and I have been told that in the audience there are a lot of folks who probably are just in this journey of getting started with their careers. So I'm sure what you have narrated, it's very relevant. What we mostly hear, and we talk to a cross section of corporates as well as candidates, very similar to what you narrated. India as a nation in education has largely focused on making one skill ready. That means traditionally somebody said, I will learn a particular skill and I can get started. For example, if it was technology, I could be a Java engineer, and when I'm coming out of college, I identify myself as a Java engineer when I'm coming out. But the way the whole AI has disrupted, being somebody who knows a skill is not a sufficient criteria any longer. Now, if I have to summarize, and I kind of resonate with what you said, Seema, the easy way to remember this, in my opinion, is think of your skills which one needs like a SDLC. You need S for the skills that was always needed, and they are not going away, whether it is AI or a non-AI based job. But at the addition to skill, you also need the domain expertise. So it's no longer good enough to be Java. You need to be Java plus, let's say, space technology. Now, once these two things come in, you also need to be very good at execution. So you basically need to have learnability as to how can I problem solve, how can I do something at a large scale, how can I efficiently work with limited resources. So the classic founder's mindset, as we call it. And last and the most important in the AI context is the customer. For whom am I building something? Do I know why am I building this for my customer? So that way, individual's ability and how this gap can potentially go away basically is that if you understand a skill, there's a domain understanding, you have got to a stage where you can problem solve and you understand your customer well. So that's how I'll anecdotally look at it, that you need to have your lens of where your SDLC as an individual is going. Now, Seema, while this sounded very good, honestly, when I thought about this, but I also think that for a talent, is this not too much we are expecting? There's somebody who's just getting started with their journey of the first job, or you have just gotten, you are an individual contributor. As a corporate, are we not expecting too much from these individuals?
A good question, Nilab. I mean, we have to be agile, in our expectations there. So, yes, the demand is more now, and there is a reason behind it again. Why? Because, see, sometimes what happens when you enter in the organization is not the lack of the skill or lack of capability you have. You probably are not into the right career path. Okay, so when you're in an organization, you are onto certain career path which has been probably asked for your an organization to do it, but it is not matching with your skills, right? So you're forcefully doing it and you won't perform well, you won't be able to stay there. Okay. So what I would suggest that be the boss of your own career yourself. Right? Okay, and same time I expect the organization to give that freedom to each individual to be the boss of their career. Let them pick it up the path they want you to run on that. Right? And as I said, that you have to come with certain skills and you have to keep upgrading that. And that responsibilities we can't just keep on to the each individual. It is the responsibility of the organization as well. So we should not be expecting somebody to come with the carry of baggage of the skills, right? He or she should have potential to learn more, right? We understand that he or she has XYZ skills, and then he or she can be groomed up with the ABC skills by giving more learning. So that kind of mindset enterprise should have. We should create the environment to give them learning, and that learning is required for all the levels, for the new entrants, for the mid-level, for the senior leaders. Everybody required the new skills continuously. So that's number two. And another thing which I felt which very helpful for one to stay is feedback loop. Okay, so sometimes I feel people take feedback as a very negatively. They only want to hear very positive feedback. Otherwise, they don't want to hear it. And I say that feedback is a gift, is a God gift. Somebody is telling you to improve freely, without any cost. It's up to you how you want to take it. But at least accept the feedback. You should ask for the feedback openly. And if somebody is just telling you positive, be happy. But if someone, 1 out of 10, has given you hint to improve, that exactly is something you are looking for. Okay? You don't have a teachers now, like a school, who will tell you to improve here and there. The feedback is something like a teacher has given you tips to improve. So this feedback loop is very important. And so that's what I would say, that be a learner, grasp your feedback, okay, and be a boss of your career. And then you are probably stay in the organization.
Thanks, Seema. So the key takeaway, if you are getting a feedback, keep an open ear. I think that will something which will help. So Seema, with this AI, and in the previous session also the gentleman touched upon this topic of restructuring, companies needing to right size and things like that. There's another side of paradox we hear very often, which is candidates also at times doing the same thing, right? As in, you are looking for a job, a corporate gives you a job, and at some point of time you decide not to show up on the date of joining. And given that the topic we are talking about also touches upon the ethics part of it. So how do you feel about this topic? As in, are candidates doing something right, something wrong? Is this ethical?
No, that's really a very good question. From the enterprise perspective, if I look at that, it's a big journey to get the right kind of candidate inside. And there are many candidates who just, leave it at the date of joining. They say no, right? So I just probably say that, gone are the days when somebody have to just look at the comp structure to join a new organization or there, or a new role, in fact. Okay? Because role is also not persistent. You keep moving. Conversation is not persistent. You keep moving it, right? What is persistent is the organization cultures, the values, right? The kind of learning environment they will give it to you. How flexible are they to choose your career path? So just check on those things and do your homework better before accepting any offer. No way you should be comparing your comps and role and then taking a decision on the last moment. Okay? Because you can keep changing your comp and roles, you can compare. But if you have studied organization once, then you can take your firm decision that whether I have to join or not. Right? So those values are important according to me, not only to join the organization, but also to grow himself or herself in the organization and stay for longer time, right? Those skills are important to understand.
Thanks, Seema. Seema, another thing which comes to mind, and especially in context of AI, and you are at this intersection of retail and AI. Now, retail tends to be one of the larger employers in certain contexts across the globe. AI is seen as a tool which may reduce job. What do you think is happening? Because of AI, are you seeing a real impact on number of jobs going down? Are they going up? Are they becoming better? What's the feel on the ground?
I think there is a myth that AI gonna take us job. See, we have seen technology how it's grown up, right? There was a time when human used to work 70, 80 hours per week, right? And we thought when technology will come, what will happen? What happened? We start working 40 hours a week, and we got a new roles, right? So AI is a new technology now, and which gonna take us all that role which the human doesn't want to do it. So be happy, embrace it, right? We might just do 10 or 15, 20 hours in a week job and spend rest of our time for which their God has made human. Human judgment, cognitive thinking, entertainment, spend the time with the family, which we are crying. And just wait, it will create a new roles. We never had a AI kind of roles earlier. It has already created a new roles. So definitely any new technology, that's my believe it, will create the new roles, definitely will give you the more and more power to the human to do the work where which the God has made the human. Okay? And if you work with the human judgment, cognitive thinking, okay, that will come the partner with the AI, good partner. So nowhere the AI gonna take the role, whether it's a retail or any other vertical, it will benefit all the vertical through the AI.
Thanks, Seema. So another thing which we are definitely noticing at this intersection of AI, Seema, two things happening. One, there are a lot of jobs which are not necessarily in the big cities.
Absolutely.
So, for example, if you look at a whole lot of mission right now around manufacturing in India, semiconductor, chances are that these jobs are not going to be in metro cities necessarily. So while my personal view, there may be an impact on certain section of jobs, but there are a lot of new category of jobs which are getting created. For the individuals, it may mean that how we have traditionally looked at our careers to say we will be in a big city and we are going to spend the rest of the life in a big city, that may get revisited.
Absolutely.
If you look at it, you may go to a city where there is a factory, there's still a knowledge job out there and your skills are well utilized, but they are probably not in a big city, which is like top 5, 6 cities. So that's something which I definitely see happening, Seema. Now, Seema, we are almost at the end of our session. Would you quickly want to take a minute and just summarize? The way I look at it, this is not really a talent gap. This is more like a relevance gap. We have a lot of demand, we have a lot of supply. It's a good problem to have as long as we can find the rhythm between the talent and the corporate. We should find the right way forward.
No, absolutely, Nilab. And if I would like to summarize into the few lines, I would say, first of all, AI is real. Okay, it's everywhere. So it is not optional. So please get AI literacy. That's very important, number one. Number two, learning has to be continuous journey. So be a learner, lifelong learner. That's number one skill is required to stay up into the market there. And the last, which is most important, I would say that it is a responsibility of each individual and enterprise, both, to work together to update your new skills, which is required by learning training program, by feedback, by looking the culture, improving the culture. So it's both mutual responsibility to stay connected and be observant there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We were actually wondering, it's the last session of the day, who's going to be in the room? But this is the number of people who stayed back to listen to you, which only means that this is a very important subject and people want to know more. And I love what you said. You know, it's not a talent gap, but a relevance gap. And I think it's not something we should fear. It's an opportunity to learn, to, you know, redefine who we are and to grow with it. So thank you so much. Do you want me to ask them if there's a question?
We are here. I mean,
Any
till
question?
10:30.
Okay. If there is, they're willing to take it. Can you give me 2 bags? Okay. Thank you for such a robust end to our actually 3-day GHIC and especially to this track.
Thank you, Neelab. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.